The envelope from State University felt impossibly light for something that was supposed to carry my entire future. I'd already torn it open once, read the acceptance letter with my heart soaring, calculated the financial aid package that would cover almost everything. Almost. Just need $15,000 from your college fund for the first year. I'd told my parents over dinner, sliding the paperwork across our kitchen table. After that, my work, study, and scholarships will cover. About that, my mother interrupted, not meeting my eyes. She was arranging and rearranging the essential oil bottles that had taken over our dining room, their labels promising everything from wealth to wellness. We need to discuss some changes. My father cleared his throat, fidgeting with the purple bracelet that marked him as a level 5 wellness warrior in their new business venture. Josie, the thing is, traditional education is becoming obsolete. The words hung in the air like the cloying scent of lavender and eucalyptus that now permeated everything in our house. What? I managed. University is a scam anyway, my mother said, finally looking up with the bright, fevered eyes of a true believer. Linda's son graduated with $100,000 in debt and works at Starbucks. But with VitaLife, we're building real wealth. Generational wealth. We've invested your college fund, Dad added quickly. All of it. We're about to hit diamond status. Do you know what that means? Passive income of $50,000 a month. You won't need a degree when we're millionaires. I stared at the essential oil bottles covering every surface. Inventory they'd bought with money saved over 18 years for my education. Little purple bottles that cost $40 each and supposedly cured everything from anxiety to cancer. You spent my college fund on a pyramid scheme? It's not a pyramid scheme. They said it in unison, like they'd practiced. They probably had, at one of the countless team-building meetings that now consumed their evenings. Mom pulled out a binder thick with laminated pages. Look at the compensation structure. It's a reverse funnel system. Completely different. She showed me circles within circles, arrows pointing up and down, percentages and bonuses, and ranks with names like Platinum Eagle and Sapphire Dynasty. It was the most elaborate pyramid I'd ever seen, dressed up in corporate speak and essential oil bottles. How much? I asked quietly. How much of my college fund did you spend? All of it is invested, Dad said, emphasizing the word like it made a difference. $62,000. We're already seeing returns. Where are these returns? Well, we have to build our downline first. But Linda made $500 last month. And how much did Linda spend? Silence. This is fraud, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. That money was in my name. You stole from me. We're your parents. Mom's voice went shrill. Everything we do is for you. When VitaLife makes us rich, you'll thank us. You can go to any college you want. With what money? You just said you spent all of it. On our future. God, Josie, why are you being so negative? This is exactly the kind of toxic mindset that holds people back from success. 10 years later. Please call me Ms. Davidson in the office, not daughter. I stood outside the gleaming tower that housed Meridian Tech, watching my parents through the lobby's glass walls. They looked smaller than I remembered, older, wearing the polyester uniforms of the building's cleaning crew. My mother was pushing a cart full of supplies while my father mopped the marble floors I walked across every morning as Chief Technology Officer. 10 years was a long time, but not long enough to forget. After they'd drained my college fund, I'd worked 3 jobs to pay for community college. Transferred to a state school. Lived on ramen and determination while they posted increasingly desperate Facebook updates about their journey to financial freedom. I'd taught myself to code between shifts at the warehouse. Built apps during my lunch breaks. Started a company in my studio apartment while they attended breakthrough conferences in airport hotels. By the time VitaLife collapsed in a spectacular federal raid, I was already earning 6 figures. By the time my parents declared bankruptcy, I was running my own division. By the time they lost their house, I was being headhunted by Fortune 500 companies. I'd tracked their downfall through mutual friends and social media. The garage full of unsold inventory. The friends who stopped returning calls. The second mortgage. The car repossessions. The final, humiliating eviction. And when Meridian Tech had openings in their custodial department, I'd made sure their applications were noticed. Was it petty? Absolutely. Was it satisfying? Also yes. Ms. Davidson? I turned to find my assistant, Marcus, holding my morning schedule. Your 9 a.m. is here. Should I send them to conference room A? Yes, thank you. I paused. Marcus, could you let maintenance know the executive floor needs attention? Especially my office. I noticed it wasn't properly cleaned last night. He made a note. I'll have them send someone up right away. I knew exactly who they'd send. The executive elevator was whisper quiet, all chrome and soft lighting. I remembered my first ride in it 5 years ago, fresh from my acquisition meetings, still dizzy from the reality that the startup I'd built while working night shifts was worth $20 million to Meridian. My office occupied a corner of the 47th floor, with views that stretched to the horizon. The nameplate read Josephine Davidson, Chief Technology Officer. No one here called me Josie. That girl, the one who'd cried in a community college parking lot, calculating if she could afford both textbooks and food, was someone I'd left behind. I was reviewing code when the knock came. Maintenance. My mother's voice called through the door. Come in. They entered with their cart, my father carrying a mop bucket, my mother clutching cleaning supplies. They didn't look up at first, focused on their tasks. It had been 3 weeks since they'd started, and we'd performed this dance a dozen times. Make sure you get the windows, I said, not looking up from my screen. There are fingerprints. Yes, ma'am, my father mumbled. I let them work in silence for a few minutes, the only sound the squeak of cloth on glass and the tap of my keyboard. Then, because I couldn't help myself. How's the job treating you? My mother's hand stilled on the window. Fine, ma'am. Good benefits here, I continued. Health insurance. Retirement matching. Stable income. Everything a scam, right? She turned then, and for a moment I saw a flash of the woman who'd once lectured me about thinking small. Josie. Ms. Davidson, I corrected sharply. In this office, I'm Ms. Davidson. Ms. Davidson, she repeated, the words like ground glass. We didn't know you worked here when we applied. Didn't you? I leaned back in my chair, finally looking at them directly. The company's executive team is listed on the website. My photo's in the lobby. Strange that you'd miss that. My father set down his mop. We needed work. The cleaning company was hiring. That's all. Honest work, I agreed. Nothing wrong with it. Steady paycheck. No downlines to build. No inventory to buy. Must be refreshing. If you're going to gloat. I'm not gloating. I turned back to my computer. I'm working. Something you should be doing too. Those windows won't clean themselves. They exchanged a look I couldn't read, then returned to their tasks. I typed meaningless commands, my concentration shattered by their presence. 10 years of anger and hurt compressed into this strange tableau. Them cleaning my success while I pretended not to care. The lavender, my mother said suddenly. What? The cleaning supplies. They use lavender-scented products. I noticed you don't keep any air fresheners in here. I remember you hated the smell after you turned our house into an essential oil warehouse. After you chose pyramid schemes over my education. After lavender became the scent of broken promises. I'm allergic, I lied. Oh, she moved to the next window. I didn't know. There was so much they didn't know. They didn't know about the nights I'd gone hungry to afford programming books. The scholarships I'd lost because I couldn't pay the enrollment deposit. The opportunities missed because I was working instead of interning. The therapy I'd needed to process the betrayal of parents who'd gambled my future on magic bottles. Your colleague Linda, I said, unable to stop myself. The one making $500 a month. Whatever happened to her? My father's knuckles whitened on the mop handle. She lost her house too. But I thought she was going to be rich. Generational wealth, wasn't it? Please, my mother whispered. We know we made mistakes. Mistakes? I laughed, short and bitter. You stole $62,000 from your 18-year-old daughter. You destroyed my future for a scam so obvious a child could see through it. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. We believed. You wanted to believe. You wanted the easy path to wealth. The shortcut. And when I tried to show you the math, the actual economics of it, you called me toxic. Negative. Small-minded. I stood, walking to the window where my mother was working. The city sprawled below us, all glass and possibility. Do you know what I did the night you told me you'd spent my college fund? She shook her head. I calculated exactly how many hours of minimum wage work it would take to replace it. 47,692 hours. 23 years of full-time work. That's what you stole from me. We're sorry, my father said. We're so sorry. Sorry you got caught in a scam? Or sorry you betrayed your daughter? Both, my mother admitted. All of it. We were idiots. Greedy, desperate idiots who threw away our relationship with you for purple bottles and false promises. I returned to my desk, the distance necessary. Did you know I tried to call? After my first promotion. After my company sold. I wanted to share it with you, despite everything. We didn't have phones anymore, she said quietly. Couldn't afford them after Vitalife collapsed. I know. I also know you told family I was being vindictive. That I was punishing you for following your dreams. They couldn't deny it. Even now, even cleaning my office, part of them probably believed it. Here's what's going to happen, I said, CEO voice in full effect. You're going to finish cleaning this office. Then you're going to continue working here, doing honest work for honest pay. You're going to see me every day and remember that I succeeded despite you, not because of you. And then, my mother asked. There is no then. This is your life now. Cleaning the offices of people who didn't fall for pyramid schemes. People who worked for their success instead of trying to recruit it. For how long? For as long as you need the job. The economy's tough. Not many places hiring people in their 60s with bankruptcy on their records. But Meridian believes in second chances. We even have tuition reimbursement if you want to learn new skills. Imagine that. A company that pays for education instead of charging you for the privilege of selling their products. My father's face flushed. You're enjoying this. I'm surviving this, I corrected. Just like I survived community college on 3 hours of sleep. Just like I survived teaching myself to code on library computers. Just like I survived building a company while you were posting motivational quotes about being your own boss. We get it, my mother said. We failed you. We're failures. Is that what you want to hear? No. I turned my monitor so they could see the screen. I want you to see this. It was an educational fund I'd established. The Josephine Davidson Second Chance Scholarship. For students whose families couldn't, or wouldn't, support their education. Full rides to State University. Living expenses included. No essential oils required. 70 students so far, I said. Kids who were told college was a scam. Kids whose parents spent their futures on get-rich-quick schemes. Kids who just need someone to believe their hard work matters more than their upline. My mother was crying now, silent tears that she wiped with the same cloth she'd been using on my windows. This year's recipient, I continued, clicking to a photo, lost her college fund to her parents' cryptocurrency scheme. Straight A's. Wants to be a doctor. Would have ended up in retail if not for the scholarship. Why are you showing us this? Because I want you to understand that your choices had consequences beyond just us. Every time parents choose schemes over their children's education, they create another me. Another kid who has to claw their way up from nothing. The only difference is I made it. Most don't. We could speak at schools, my father offered desperately. Warn parents. Tell them our story. With what credibility? You're janitors who lost everything to essential oils. They'd laugh you out of the room. Just like you laughed at me when I showed you the FTC warnings about Vitalife. The silence stretched, broken only by the hum of computers and the distant sound of the city below. Finish the floors, I said finally. Accounts payable processes timesheets on Thursday. Don't be late clocking in. They're strict about that here in the real working world. They gathered their supplies, moving toward the door with the defeated shuffle of people who'd learned too late that there are no shortcuts to success. Josie, my mother said at the threshold. Ms. Davidson, do you think, could we ever? I see you every day, I said, not looking up from my code. That's more than most people get after what you did. Be grateful for steady work and health insurance. It's more than Vitalife ever gave you. They left, and I sat alone in my spotless office, surrounded by the success I'd built from the ashes of their betrayal. Through the glass, I could see them pushing their cart down the hall, past offices full of people who'd taken the traditional path they'd mocked. My phone buzzed. Marcus again. Your 10 a.m. called to confirm. Also, maintenance asked if you have any special requests for the executive floor cleaning schedule. I thought about it. About power and pettiness and the thin line between justice and cruelty. Yes, I typed back. Make sure they assign the same team to this floor every day. Consistency is important. Because that was the real punishment, wasn't it? Not the menial work or the polyester uniforms or even calling me Ms. Davidson. It was the daily reminder that while they'd chased magic bottles and impossible dreams, I'd done the work. The actual work. The boring, difficult, unglamorous work they'd deemed beneath us. University wasn't a scam, but they'd learned that $62,000 too late. My computer pinged with a new email. Another scholarship application. Another kid whose parents had chosen schemes over education. I opened it, ready to offer what my parents couldn't, a real chance at a real future. Behind me, the windows sparkled, cleaned by hands that had once held my future and let it slip away for the promise of easy money. Now those same hands held mops and rags, earning $15 an hour plus benefits. Honest work. Steady paychecks. No downline required. Somewhere, Linda's son was probably still working at Starbucks. But at least he'd gotten the chance to fail on his own terms, with his own debt, chasing his own dreams. That was more than Vita Life had ever offered, and infinitely more than my parents had left me. Please call me Ms. Davidson in the office, not daughter. In the end, that said everything that needed to be said.